Alright, for this lesson, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through how to make enlargements, 4x3 enlargements, using Adobe Photoshop CS6. So first thing that we're going to do is open up Adobe Photoshop. And I already had that open, just save a little bit of time here. And we're going to go find the files that you want to make the enlargements of. So we're going to basically do some cropping and do a little bit of enhancements, and then we'll put these on a 6x4 layout and actually make our enlargements then. So what we're going to do is you want to go to File, Open, locate the images that you want to create your enlargements of. Alright, so I'm going to go into my pictures here. I'm just going to increase the size of those images so I can see a thumbnail of them. And again, to do that, I just have to drop down this view menu window here, and you can click on large icons or extra large icons. It'll show you a thumbnail of those images, so I can very quickly go through and select the images that I want to make and enlarge for the particular assignment that you're working with. I'm going to go ahead, hold Control, and open up all the images. So I'm holding Control, selecting all the images I want to work with for this particular assignment, and I'll just click Open. And you can see in CS6 what it does. It opens up each file in its own tab up here near the menu bar. So I have each one of those open. The next thing that I'm going to do is create a new file, and this is going to be our 6x4 layout, which will eventually when we crop our images 3x4, we'll drag them over to this file, so then we can print it to the photo kiosk. What you're going to want to do is create the width to be 6 inches. Make sure it's inches, and if it's anything other than that, sometimes it pops up as pixels and things. Make sure you change that over to inches. So it's going to be 6 for the width, height 4, resolution set to 300, and the color mode is going to be set to CMYK. We'll click OK. And again, you see it gives us a new tab here of that particular layout that we created. So now what we're going to do is we're going to edit these. We're going to crop these images out. We're also going to just do some minor photo editing with it. And so I'm going to show you just a couple quick tools, and then we'll go from there. First tool I'm going to show you is the crop tool. The crop tool is the 5th tool down on your toolbar, and anytime you're working in Photoshop, if you just basically drag your cursor down over the tool, it'll tell you what the tool is and the keyboard shortcut. So for example, the crop tool keyboard shortcut is C. So if I press C on my keyboard, it'll basically select that tool for me. What we're going to do is we're going to change this to a 4x3. We basically need to tell Photoshop, hey, I want to crop this to a 4x3, and we can do that by going up, once we select the crop tool, by going into unconstrain, that tab down there, and we're actually going to create all these to a 4x3. So we're going to do a preset. We're going to save our layout here. So first we're going to set it up, and that was just on the bottom here. Let me show you that again. It was size and resolution. That's the item that I selected, and I'm going to change it to width 4, height 3. Again, it depends on the layout of the photograph. If you have a landscape or portrait type of layout, you can see for the hallway shot here that it is a landscape photograph, so it's longer, all right, than the height. Okay, so I should say the width is more than the actual height. Make sure you change the resolution to 300, and we are going to save this preset, so I'll check that off. And so the other images that we're working with, we don't have to continuously do this. We can just select the preset, and it'll crop it for us to the size that we need. So we'll click OK. This is telling us your preset, what do you want to save it as, the name of it. We're just going to do the generic name that it pops up here, 4x3 at 300. So we'll click OK, and there you go. So this window right here, this is my crop window. Anything in this window, when we crop it, it'll be 4x3. So I can have a very large selection, or I can reduce that size if I want to crop a certain area out. And this area, whatever's in that window will be 4x3. So if I want this to be 4x3, if I want even a smaller selection, again, whatever's in there in that window, when we crop it, it'll be 4 by 3. So I'm going to just make this a little larger. Okay, so I'm going to use this portion right here for my image. I have that 4 by 3 selection. All you need to do, there's two ways to crop. One of those ways is just pressing enter on your keyboard. Okay, so if I do that, it'll crop it. The other way would be to, let me just get that set again, would be to basically select any other tool on your tool palette. So if I selected a different tool, for example the move tool, it'll ask me, do you want to crop the image? If you do want to actually crop that, you can select crop, don't crop, cancel, that's up to you. So we're just going to go ahead and crop that, and you can see that it did crop it to a smaller size, that 4 by 3. We can check on that by going up to image and go to image size, and you can see that in fact it is a 4 by 3 at 300 resolution is where we have that set. So that is how we crop. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is the basically had to zoom in and out of the photograph so we can view it a little bit better while we do some of these enhancements. Two different ways to do that. First thing I'm going to show you is basically using the magnifying glass. I can select the magnifying glass, it's near the bottom of your tool palette. I can drag it over the image and I can just click on it to zoom in and out. If I press Alt, that will zoom back out. Okay, so the default is typically to zoom in, Alt will zoom out. Alright, you can also use your navigation, your navigator, and to bring up your navigator, if you just want to click on window, if it's not already populated, you click on navigator. Here's your navigator, so I can zoom in and out with that tool as well. So basically works very similar to magnifying glass. Alright, so that's how we can navigate and zoom in and out of our photos when we're editing them. The next thing I want to do is basically make some contrast and lighting enhancements. So we're going to do that. You're going to click on image and go to adjustments and go to brightness and contrast. Again, this is a simple tool, but it helps the photographs tremendously, especially in the lighting situations here at the school and things like that. You might get a photo that's dim or dull, and we can change that contrast a little bit. We can bring out the highlights and the midtones and shadow areas. Okay, we can do all sorts of stuff just with using this application here. So if you want to change the brightness of the photograph, again, I can adjust that up or down depending on how the image looks. I can also change the contrast of it, okay, by adjusting that. Typically what I'll do is I'll click on auto if you don't want to adjust it manually, and what I'll do is it'll take a minute, but Photoshop will basically take that image and it'll auto adjust it. Okay, so now that we have that selected, it changed the brightness and contrast for us. It set it basically, Photoshop looks at the image, makes the adjustments for you based on what it sees basically, and we'll click OK, and then it has those adjustments for us. So again, just a quick adjustment editing tool when you're working with that photograph. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through here and do the same thing with the rest of these photographs really quick. Again, keyboard shortcut C for the crop tool. I have that preset in here. I can make my selection. Press enter. Image adjustments, brightness and contrast. Go into auto. And I also like to have that preview button selected so it does show you what the preview is. So if you like the results, you can select that. And then we're just going to have one more after this. I like seeing, the reason why I'm going back in there, I like seeing so you can see the rule of thirds here, and you can see the layout, and typically I like to adjust that and use those rule of thirds, trying to get example, the center of interest, trying to have this off to one of the thirds here. This kind of helps with the composition of the photograph. Do one more adjustment here, brightness and contrast. Okay, so there we go. We have all 4 photos edited and basically ready to make enlargements of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that new file that we created at the very beginning. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag that file, I selected, that tab, and I move it off. I like to have multiple windows as I'm working here. I think it makes things a little bit easier. I'm also going to bump my navigator off there. So now what I need to do is take this image and move it over to my new layout, my 6x4 layout that we created. Remember, these are 3x4. We're going to move it to 6x4. We're going to get 2 of those photos on one 6x4 layout. The next tool we're going to use is the Move tool. Alright, keyboard shortcut is V, so we'll select that. I'm going to select the actual photograph, make sure I'm in that, working on that particular photo, so the tab is selected here. And I'm going to drag it over to this layout. Okay, so just so you can see here, alright, there's my image. So as of now, you can see that that's not going to fit a second image in there. We need to rotate that around. To rotate, we're going to use a freeform transfer tool, and that is just Control T. This is a freeform transform tool. I rotate that around 90 degrees, press enter, and now I have that and enough space that I can get another 3x4 in there. So that is my center of interest. We'll put the color shot in here next. Again, using my Move tool, or press V to get back into that tool, drag it over. Okay, you can see we need to rotate that. Control T, rotate it. Notice I get these double arrows when I do that. Alright, you don't want to change the size. You want to get that double arrow that's curved. Alright, looks like it has like a 90-degree curve in there, and that's what you want to rotate with. Alright, so we have that. And we're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to save it as a JPEG file. Alright, so I'm going to go File, Save As. Okay, I created a folder with composition pictures. I have Final Prints, a folder, so that's what I'd recommend, that you guys make a Final Prints folder. And what we're going to do is make that a JPEG. And we can call this Composition Layout 1. Alright. And we'll save that. Again, have a maximum level, at least 10, goes 10 to 12 when you're working with that JPEG. Okay, so there's one. Alright, so what we're going to do now is to get our other 2 photos over here, we need to get rid of these currently. So what we'll do is we're going to go back over to the Layers palette over here. I'm going to select that particular layer, left click, I'll drag that into the trash can. And now I can add my other 2 photographs in there and repeat the process. Alright, all I need to do is save it as a different file format, or save it as a different file name. It'll still be a JPEG image. Bring it over to the photo kiosk and print it out in the kiosk. Just put that right onto your thumb drive then. Okay? Alright, that's it for making enlargements. Thanks for watching.